Hello everyone and welcome to Creating the Conundrums, a behind-the-scenes documentary by RSpace Productions about how we brought our latest show, DEATHCELL Magenta, to life. Now, over the last 18 months we've been working super hard on this experience and we pretty much filmed most of the process along the way. So the reason this docu-series exists is because we wanted to show you, the viewers at home, how on earth we made this happen. So you will see the highs, the lows, the challenges, and also just the sheer fun that we had creating this experience, which is super important for us to enjoy the process, even though at times it can be pretty tough. What's the plot, mate? So we're going to kick things off with a history lesson about the world of DEATHCELL, a little bit about us, and how we came to decide that DEATHCELL Magenta would be our next production. I think my business here is over. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steph, and I'm the founder and managing director of RSpace Productions. And I've been lucky enough to create my career over the last 15 years on scaring the living daylights out of people. From touring up and down the country at festivals to working across multiple attractions in the UK, I've gone from being a scare performer to working in operations to then creating our own experiences. But it all started off back in 2010. I just completed a 3-year course in performing arts and I didn't really know what it was that I wanted to do, apart from that I didn't want to go back to working in retail. So I graduated and started to look for jobs, and one came up in the stage magazine for Scream, One Way Out, a scare attraction based in Tussauds in London. It was my first audition, so I geared myself up that I probably wasn't going to get it, but lo and behold, I did, and I began my scare career in London, and I just had the best time. Met the most amazing people, friends for life, and I just found my calling. Scare acting very quickly became something I was naturally good at. In 2017, I decided that I wanted to start my own company. Now, I started to think about how I was going to do this, and the project name was named The Space. The main thing that I knew was that I wanted to build a community around people who were passionate about the arts and wanted to create new experiences. 2018 saw the official start of the company, taking the name RSpace Productions. The name had two meanings. One, my last name being Ricketts, and two, a play on words, our space, meaning a creative space for everyone. I reached out to old colleagues and friends to see if they'd be interested in bringing this community to life, as well as working on a new concept. The concept was DEATHCELL. After working on my vision and a rough plan for the next 6 months, I gathered everyone over a Chinese buffet, and together we began to flesh out the experience and the universe of DEATHCELL.
So DEATHCELL was an idea that I'd had a couple of months ago, but it wasn't called DEATHCELL. I knew that it was going to be a prison-based scare attraction, and I wanted it to be a homage to Scream, which was my first original scare attraction.
So Steph obviously wrote this, in like a hotel room and then shared it with the team, and it's just really grown from strength to strength and developed on that concept.
A prison, but it's where you are nominated to be sent.
So this DEATHCELL system exists. It's uncontrollable, people can still nominate, but it's kind of almost like on the dark web. It's then got out of hand, so as the years have gone by, the government has lost control over it. These public prisons have become their own entity, and actually, whereas before loads of people were over-nominating people actually genuinely get scared because people weren't coming back, people were dying. Now you have DEATHCELL, which is actually not the real name of these prisons, but the name that have been given by the public.
Oh my God, Steph, Ricketts, I'll go on. When we do the Kickstarter episode, look into the fly's eyes, you see they're sorry, but you can't see.
Yeah. Steph, we've heard that you're doing a new production. What is it? Oh, please, just one answer! What's going on?
I'm getting all mucked up by young Jimm, and he's making me look like I've been beaten up, so I'm ready to get wet.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Visualise a lot of it, it's more just the way we're doing the photos and the posters and stuff, like you just see the hands and blood and you see kind of fist fighting, so that's how I see it. So when I think of DEATHCELL, I think more of grubby and hands and chains as opposed to people's faces. I think that goes with the flies as well, is that you don't actually see their faces.
But before we go any further, here are a few key things you need to know about the DEATHCELL universe. A cell card is what you receive if you've been sentenced to DEATHCELL. You can nominate and be nominated multiple times, but only upon selection do you receive one of these. After receiving one, you have 24 hours to hand yourself in. If you decide to run, then the henchmen of DEATHCELL named the Flies will hunt you down. The Flies are led by the Warden of DEATHCELL, a crazed maniac named Ryan who is the sole survivor of serving time himself. Once inducted, you are branded a player. Your identity is stripped away, and you are only known as a colour. Each player is allocated a different one. A death collar is worn inside by the players at all times and is controlled by the flies and Ryan, inflicting pain when they feel necessary. Players must survive by participating in various games. Those who win can obtain credits which can be spent at the vending machine that offers various weapons and survival items. And finally, the tramps are another workforce under the Warden, acting as studios in the real world to obtain information and complete missions. In order for this project to work, DEATHCELL had to be Kickstarter funded, and we did some pretty crazy stuff to make sure we matched our target.
Thank you so much.
Maybe we'll come on to that another day. I will never forget seeing the email pop up confirming we had hit our target. The fact that people believed in us and this vision was a feeling that carried throughout the project. Our chosen venue was the Old Joinery in Greenwich, London, and the show ran for 4 days to sold-out audiences and received positive reviews. The experience was a hybrid of escape room games, theatre, and traditional scare experience. Guests played the role of players and experienced a snapshot of what it was like to live a day inside.
This is your warden speaking. I instruct you to kneel before me and the flies. Welcome and thank you. Thank you for giving yourselves willingly to me, for you knew you could not escape your fate. You cannot run from the flies. You cannot run from me. This is your penance. This is what you have wrought. In order for you to proceed, you must be cleansed. Who sent you here? What have you done? You will find all your answers if you move quickly. But remember, the only thing certain in life is death.
But where was Magenta at this time? Who was she and what did she do? Well, she was the mastermind behind the games that players had to endure. However, this was never made obvious in the story, and the guests were none the wiser to her existence. She didn't even have an identity to us at the time, apart from this icon, which was marked on the escape room portion of the experience. This icon soon became a staple in our branding of the universe. After the success of the show, we were asked to produce a pop-up version called DEATHCELL Light for one night only on Halloween in Salisbury. All I can say is that this version was a little rough around the edges and tailored for a hyped audience.
Maybe for a party, have ya?
For a party.
Well, it's cancelled.
Yeah. Trick or treat. I'll give you a right trick up your
As 2019 rolled in, we were nominated for 2 awards at ScareCon, the industry's annual convention, for Best Out of Season Attraction and Best Concept and Design.
Is how you accept an award.
The win for Best Out of Season Attraction was a real achievement for us and left us on the high after the project had finished. And to celebrate the win and our first birthday as a company, we released a short film teasing DEATHCELL 2, the sequel to the show that will include new scenes and characters.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
In 2020, DEATHCELL 2 was due to be announced officially, along with promo shots of key characters from the universe. However, as we know, the global pandemic had other plans. We lost our venue, and with no clear dates in sight, we went back to the drawing board on Zoom.
Magenta might even be quite cool with like a bloodshot sort of contact lens.
Yeah.
And one eye would be like almost magenta-y.
2023 saw DEATHCELL 2 being paused and the company relaunch being prioritised. This included a revamped logo and a focus on our brand values, which were think impactful, be bold, and take it to the next level. It was time for a new era. We launched this at ScareCon, as well as our 2 immersive workshops that took place that following summer. Enter the Terrorverse was a new take on scare acting workshops, curating a narrative that allowed participants to be taught scare skills whilst meeting various horror characters. Trauma focused on special effects makeup and teaching the fundamentals of horror effects. Participants were taught by a doctor before replicating his teachings on themselves. This allowed our participants to take these skills into the industry. In 2024, we began to discuss what our next project would be, and the decision was to revisit the world of DEATHCELL and bring to life the prequel story. We named this project Project Rewind, a nod on returning to our roots. we came up with multiple ideas and landed on a hybrid experience, combining a short film with escape room elements, theatre, and traditional scare experiences. This would also not just be for the weekend, but for a 10-day run. So, before we go any further, let me introduce you to the main team behind the madness. First up, we have Liam, our head of marketing and sales. Then, we have Jimm, head of production and creative. Jack, who is head of projects. And finally, Molly, who is head of operations. At this stage of the project, we began to map out the experience with more detail.
To pop up, I'll let Jimm explain more into this, but this version of this story of DEATHCELL, the origins of Magenta, is a lot darker than DEATHCELL 2, because DEATHCELL 2 is Ryan's show. This is Magenta's show. So that's where it flips a little bit. So it will be slightly different in terms of the tone and not having as much comedy. But that's because the Flyers and Ryan are all about DEATHCELL 2.
So I've put the short film structure, so it'll be roughly between 15 to 20 minutes long.
Wow, it's going to be that long.
The short film is Magenta's backstory, flashbacks, and then leads to Ryan approaching her, which then takes you to the pop-up.
Yeah.
Okay.
One evening after meeting, we decided to release the Magenta skull on social media to spark interest. Our excitement for the project was celebrated with, of course, a Chinese buffet and some unhinged sparklers.
Oh, sorry.
The next month focused on teasing the experience and getting the word out about the project, including the following teaser. Fun fact, you wouldn't believe it, this was filmed in my dining room.
Hiya, loves.
Hello. Got coffee.
2 minutes.
2 whole minutes. 1 minute.
1 minute.
It's done.
Go, go, go! It's up. It's up.
It's official.
And Dan Thorne shared it. There you go.
Aww.
Oh my god, Theatre Weekly have shared it. That's one of the press releases Liam sent out.
Oh really?
That's big.
That's cool.
The next step was to secure a venue, and this always tends to be one of the hardest parts of the project, but we managed to find a venue in Hackney Wick, which we visited multiple times before locking it in.
I'm tired.
Our final visit was to map out the experience and also take Cade for his first experience on the Elizabeth line.
All the way up to the end. Yeah, there's that.
We're just taping the floor. Comment down below, what's your favourite type of tape?
Yeah. When you start measuring it out, to be fair, like the rooms are bigger than.
When you put the flats up and they'll feel taller,
Yeah.
you're going in because you can't comprehend the space.
Yeah.
Your mind will create it. It happened with the old joinery when we went in, and then when we actually put the walls in, it's like, oh, it's actually. So that's
It's actually okay. Like,
Right, that's the size of the kitchen.
That's massive.
Wait, this all the way up to that green line?
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. This is where the boiler is.
Are you going to be there like
In
that?
between your legs.
yeah. What else is in this room?
Disco Inferno.
Even this is a big space. How many of us are there here?
There's 7.
Oh, 7.
But
Can all 7 of us stand in
Yeah.
this space a second, please?
masking tape is also. There you go. There's another person.
But I'm happy that with this layout, 8 is the way.
Yeah. 8 is the one.
8 is the way.
The experience would start with guests entering the screener room. This would be where they would watch the short film, the longest they would stay in any of their rooms during the experience.
Right. One that. Right. We're all in watching a film. Watching the 20-minute film.
And basically, then it does the whole reveal of going into the area and the curtain.
After the film was finished, a door would be revealed and guests would be led into Magenta's workshop, where the escape room elements of the experience would begin.
They go, and then they get ushered in.
Yep.
Get in there. Get in there.
Get out of here.
So we get locked in to the workshop. Yeah. This is Magenta's workshop. There's a little cabinet.
Oh, that's nice.
Imagine if that whole thing came off the wall.
So then the door closes behind them. So the flies close the door, lock the door.
Yeah.
And then they're in here. And then Magenta will pop up on the little hidey hole. Probably do it as a spotlight.
There's going to be a
So
back.
it's like a two-way mirror with a spotlight that comes
Yes.
on, so then you light up and can talk to them in here. And then in here is like a workbench, like shelving, like racking with bits and bobs. Then Magenta can give them a clue and stuff. But also there are hints in the room which will have like the magenta colour on certain objects to help with stuff.
Once completing Magenta's workshop, the flies would lead the guests into their next escape room, which would be Magenta's kitchen.
Door unlocks.
Where's the door? Where is the door? It's over that end.
Yeah.
Nice.
Here. And then in here, this is like a weird nightmare dream-like kitchen. So we can do the whole fridge freezer locking.
How do they get locked in the fridge?
The fly will come in the fridge.
Oh, so it comes back?
Yeah, so there'll be flies like dotted around.
From here, guests would make their way into the boiler room where more puzzles had to be solved, which led to a tunnel.
In the boiler room. So in the boiler room, there's a boiler. Reveal the crawl space. So basically the vent duct of the boiler. Nice. And then they'll have to go through it. And then once they're in here, Magenta will be like, oh, I forgot to let you know there's something that is left over, like from my experiments and stuff, which is the leftover fly. I was thinking that there is something in here that they have to find and unlock.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Yeah.
The last escape room puzzles would take place in the operating room.
Once they've done that, come through. And then as soon as they come in, they'll see the axon fly chained to the wall.
So how many actors will be able to be together?
So you have two tramps, Ryan, Magenta, and then two flies. It's actually not bad size looking at it like this.
No, I was going to say, has anyone got any questions?
And just like that, it was official. Magenta was greenlit. A bold, hour-long descent into chaos. 20 minutes of cinematic storytelling, followed by 40 minutes of live immersive horror. At the heart of it all, the chilling origin story of Magenta, how she was drawn into the world of DEATHCELL, and what transformed her into the twisted tinkerer with a sinister past. And that concludes today's episode. So join us next time as we dive into curating the official trailer, begin rolling the cameras on the short film, and take the madness up to ScareCon to unleash the project into the wild. Thank you for watching.